Okay, welcome to the second episode of MUGEN AI Tutorial. In this one, I will tell you the tools you need, the concept you need to know, and your first move. First, I highly suggest you are going to find a full-size keyboard just like this, because we will need to use these two keys very often. If you don't have, then you may rely on the virtual keyboard, which is not so good. The second tools you need is the documents. This is your holy bible for your MUGEN character, stage, or anything else. But very weirdly, the MUGEN creator Electric Bytes, they purposely hide their homepage. So if you type electricbyte.com, you were not able to go in. But fortunately, they didn't shut down their whole website. Their documents still can be accessible from these two URLs. If you cannot remember it, so you can go to my website and click these two links. If their website is down, you click these two links to download a PDF version of the MUGEN documents. But I only archived 1.0 and the 1.1 beta version document. I don't have any Wing MUGEN documents. Okay, before we can start write code, let's edit some MUGEN parameters to allow us to do some developments. So go to data, go to mugen.cfg, and it's a text file. You can edit with any text editor. So you scroll down here, debug. So keep this to 0. Debug is 0. Allow debug mode, change to 1. What does this mean is always debug. Basically, you were not able to play normal games, but we didn't want that. We keep this 0 and keep this to 1. Okay. Speed up is always 0, or else it will become crazy. So now you are in the MUGEN. Let me introduce some debug key to you. So the first debug key you can use is Ctrl+C. You press Ctrl+C, and you will see these boxes, which is the hit boxes. And here is some information of the player. The player's name, real, and the player ID, 56, 57. Everybody have a unique ID, so it will not be the same. If it's be the same, then I think MUGEN will crash. Then you press Ctrl+C again, you will see the hit boxes and attack boxes. If you perform some special move, you will see yes, you will see the green box. Green box means have some type of invincibility or full invincibility. So if you see a character here is a green box or no box, means he is cheating, he is totally invincible. So you press Ctrl+C again, then turn off it. Another one is Ctrl+D. On Ctrl+D, you will see debug information, and it will say that this information is belong to real. Player ID is 56, which is him. And here's the error log. So please make sure here have no error flooding. What is error flooding means? Here is constantly printing some errors. So it will make it very hard to debug. Another one is you can hit the pause key, which is why you need a full keyboard. Right? Pause key, you can pause. If you are in the training mode, you can change the dummy action. You can ask him to crouch, ask him to jump. That's it. And another one is let's check the 57 reel. Okay, let's hit the Control D again. Cycle through reel 57, and now you will see action ID 0, state number 0. So what does this mean? You see, if I standing still, I have state number 0 and action ID. Action ID is the animation. Okay, if I walk, can you see? If I walk, the state number is 20. Action number is based on whether I walk forward or I walk backward. If I jump, you see I'm in a pre-jump state, which state number is 40. Animation is 40. If I in a pause mode, if I pressing scroll lock, the frame will be advancing one frame by one frame. So it will make you debug very easy. Okay, this is state and the animation. So in the Fighter Factory, animation are here, this red one. So we can search 40, which look like this, and this 40 will take 5 frames. Means here, if I jump, it will take 5 frames to advancing to air. And the state is here. You press this button, the blue one. Maybe the state will spread into different files. It's based on the character, but my one, the 40 should be here. So this is state 40. It's jumping, and this is the code he will execute in state 40. Okay. If we want to attack, so what state we are in? 200. Right, this is 200. The medium attack, medium punch, 205. Heavy punch, 210. Okay. And also we can find the corresponding animation. 200. So in every attack animation usually have 3 stages. The pre-attack, which is look like this. Attacking frame, which have a red box. And a recovery frame, usually is the ending one. So if you have a very short preparing or pre-attacking animation, here is 2. Actually, this is a very powerful move because only 2. If you download my Mikoto and Shirai Koloko, they have 4 to 5. Actually, their light punch is not powerful as it is real. So this is the attacker one, and this is recovery one. The shorter, the better. If you shorter this to 0, or delete this frame, and the punch will be unblockable because on other side it cannot react to a 0 attack, 0 frame attack. No time to block, so cannot block. It's kind of cheating. So now we understand the states and the animation. Let's talk about the relationship between the state numbers. There are also three special states. So the special state is -3, -2, -1. So you see the -1 is not in here, but usually in the commands. And the final one is the current state. For example, currently the reel is standing still, so current state is 0. If the reel is walking, the current state will be 20. So in every frame, every frame like this, reel will execute commands from -3, -2, -1, and current state. Current state is 1, is 0, sorry. So these are the states. Okay, so before you going to write AI, I suggest you do the following changes and make sure in -2, okay, make sure in -2 state the last command block of -2 you have a debug, okay, and the debug is like display to clipboard, append to clipboard. So what does this mean? You go to your MUGEN documents, and obviously I'm using 1.1, and the most important tool document is the state controller reference trigger lists. Okay, so you see display to clipboard. What does this mean? Display to clipboard, and you read the document and know how to use it. So here I will make it less complicated, so I will delete these parts. Maybe this part. I will keep the type equals display to clipboard. Trigger is 1, means always being executed. So the text you will put on the screen and the corresponding parameters. So to write AI, you will need basically something called P2 distance X, means you want to know how far this rail and this rail. So you want to know the X equals a number. So you use percentage and D. And you will also want to know the Y distance these two are having. So the Y distance is P2Y. Command D. So you see you have 2% D. So here you need to give 2 parameters. So usually the distance we want is P2 body distance X. And if you want to know how to use it, you go to trigger reference. So this is a trigger. So this is something called state controller, and these are called triggers. Okay, and you can search how to use this trigger, and it will explain. Okay, so you can also say P2 distance Y. And okay, that's it. Let's use a very common key to refresh, because you change the code. After you change the code, you want the code to take effect, you click Shift and F4. Now you will see real 56 is the normal one. We never change him, so his debug info look like this. But this one should be different now. If we press Ctrl D, you will see his output is much simpler, because I only put 2 parameters here. So you see P2 distance X is 110. Y equals 0. 110 means from the target to me, the distance is 110. If I go forward, you will see the distance is 0. So the distance means from this point, the front, my front to enemy front. And it's these parts distance, not from the center. Okay. If I remove the body, just like this one, if I remove the body, it will be the distance between 2 centers. Okay, so but usually we will not use the distance of the centers. We want the distance of the front, because if our opponent is a fatty guy, then maybe his center is much behind, so we want here. So another thing is distance Y. If we jump, you will see we have Y distance now. The difference between this position and this position. If I am above the enemy, the Y distance is a positive number. If the enemy is above me, it will be a negative number. Okay, after you know this concept, then you can start write AI. Let's go to the command and find the trigger. Usually action trigger is a change state. Okay, usually it's a change state. So change to which state? If we say change to value 200 is the light punch. Okay, so we can search value equals 200. SLP stands for stand light punch. Okay, so we copy this one, and you will see this one is for human being, because there's no AI switch. See, this is, and you need import command like X, and not holding down, and not on air. So I will explain later. But first we copy these human states and go down. We want to put here on the AI section. But AI execute command differently. We are not hoping the AI to press down the X button, right? So we will remove all these human commands. Okay. So after we remove the human commands, what we left? Okay, this will be the AI trigger. I will not put AI trigger now because it will be easier for us to debug. First, trigger all. It means wait, let's do trigger 1 first. So trigger 1 is saying if this character is in control. What does it mean in control? In control means control is 1. You see here is 1. If I do some move, you will see the control is 0. That means I'm not in control. That means if in control, I can walk left and right, jump, means I can do action. But when I'm doing the action, I cannot move left and right, so my control is 0. So when I have control, which is here is 1, then I can execute this command. And this is other possibility we will not put here. So what will happen if we just put the code like this? Here is 1, so it will check. So the code will check like this. The first all, trigger all, is it match? Is it true? Yes, it's true. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, and 3 is a positive integer, so it's true. If it's 0, then it's false. The next, state type not A means state type I can have airborne state type, which is A, crouching state type, which is C, and standing still one is S. And the other state type is laying down, L. This is L. So that means if I am the attacker is not in airborne state, not A, and check next. Trigger 1 is I'm in control. Okay. So you reload the code, see what happens. You see, he is doing some crazy jack. You are not able to stop him. You are not able to walk. Right? Because once he is in control, he will do the light punch. So we will need to add some more restriction. So for example, we add one more restriction. Round state equals 2. What does this mean? It's round state 1 means they are doing the intro. Now it's round state 1. They're doing some intro. When they start to fight, it's round state 2. If he is being KO'd, he is being KO'd means round state 3. Then if he is doing the winning pose, it's round state 4. So when they are fighting, he is not in air and in control, he will do this. But this is stupid. So we need something more, some more restrictions. For example, do you remember this P2 state? P2 distance. So let's say if our P2 distance, P2 x distance, P2 body distance x is in the range of 0 to 80. and you will see he will not be crazy. So if I press Ctrl D to show his debug information. Okay. Now the distance is 110. And by the way, he is a low resolution character. So he have a coordinate system, local coordinate. The X is 320 and the Y is 420. Now what does it mean? It means for him, the X is have 320 points. Okay, from here to here is 320. From here to here is 240. For a native HD character, for example 720p1, like the Mikoto I have, she have 1 to 80, means from here to here have 1 to 80. So the coordinate system is totally different. So for Rio, maybe 100 is quite some distance, but for Mikoto, maybe this is already 100. So it's different. So make sure you are aware of the local coordinate. So we will try to approach this Rio. You see, now we are below 80 and he is trying to attacking us, right? But you see what happens if we jump in below 80, he attacks. So we also want to put some limitation on the Y, or else it doesn't make sense, right? So before, by the way, you need a parenthesis to wrap up arguments with brackets inside. And here we will have two arguments, and the two arguments have a AND logic. So we will use AND. You say P2 dist Y is in a range of maybe minus 20 to 20. That means we will only attack when X is in this range and Y in this range. What does it mean? It means if this Rio, so if this time I jump in, he will not attack me until I am in the range. Oh, you see another thing. Let me explain. If I jump, you see here is the problem. The X distance become a negative number. So he will not attack us because we are saying it's from 0 to 80. But here is a negative number. So even the Y is in range, but he will not attack. Now, here is the problem. So in order to have some how to say, margin, error margin, so we give a negative number. For example, 20. So where we're tolerant some cross up. You see he start to attack. So this is your first AI, but here you have an obvious problem. It is like an idiot. Next, we will introduce something called randomness. So you can give another one, trigger 1 equals random. So this random, every time you call it, this random is a trigger. So you go to the trigger reference and search for random. So the random return a number from 0 to 99. Okay. Means every time you call it, you will get a number from 0 to 99. So if the random is less than 200, let's see what will happen. Let's walk into the range. So this is the randomness of 200. And if we decrease to 100, and even maybe 50 will give some feeling of this randomness. And yes, this is 50 will look like. So this is your first move. And what if you say I want to code a hard punch? Then you copy this part, and then you know the hard punch is 210. The state number is 210. And let's see what will happen. You see, oh. You see, because the randomness, he will choose whether using light punch or hard punch. So in code execution, this will be executed first, and this will execute next. So even they have randomness, same randomness, but usually this command will have higher priority. It means that you will see more other than this, even the number is same. And this random here, for example, it gets maybe 20, but here it will not get 20, it will get something else. So usually if you want the two of them have similar randomness, you will need to increase the first thing, maybe decrease a little bit, and increase this a little bit, and maybe it will be more equal. Okay, here is your first coding tutorial, and I hope you can catch up, and see you next time.